Midas.
Dry and murder.
Yeah.
Carson.
Okay. I just packed my clothes for a few days. A few days. A few days. Schedule say I got shows for a few days. A few days. A few days. I'm hoping it's gonna be sunny for a few days. A few days. A few days. Either way, I gotta get this money for a few days. A few days. A few days. I just packed my clothes. Probably packed for more than a few days. And I've been dying to wear these new J's. I got my hat, shades, and toiletries. I'm about to eat, take my order, please. The smell good, be designer. Put some respect on my name, cause I be ringing bells like a Shriner. Now I'm on one and I'm turning up. And you can't cool me down, I'm burning up. Why would you wanna do that? Stay close to the fire, it's keeping you warm. I'm about to get out of town. Run me the bread, I get paid to perform. Meeting new strangers, calling me friends. Keeping it real, no need to pretend. Show sold out, packing that too. Keep holding it down, I'll be back in the packing my clothes for a few days. A few days. A few days. Schedule say I got shows for a few days. A few days. A few days. I'm hoping it's gonna be sunny for a few days. A few days. A few days. Either way, I gotta get this money for a few days. A few days. A few days. I just packed my clothes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard British Airways Flight 707 bound for Prague. Today's flight time will be about 3 hours, 20 minutes following takeoff. The captain of the flight is Chris Latin. This is your flight attendant, Christine Sanders.
Ooh, no shortcuts. Midas and fame, yeah. No shortcuts. I'm here to give you motivation and a little bit of inspiration. No shortcuts. Me and the boss ain't easy. Every day somebody needs me. It's no shortcuts. I wake up stretched, say a prayer, coffee and then some fresh air. Time to get it poppin'. I got a fresh 24. Hopefully I'm blessed with plenty more. Meanwhile, I'm thankful for the fire on the inside burning. I keep earning as the world keeps turning. The thing about life is you never stop learning. Hoping everybody Maxwell, Vernon. You make a plan, then you stick to it. Even in tough times, get through it. So get to it. And make sure your family's straight. We going worldwide, you understanding me, mate? Providing a platform where like minds can meet. Closed mouths don't get fed, want everybody to eat. On Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Tuesdays at noon, let's all get rich. It's no shortcuts. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the No Shortcut Show. Microphone check, 1 2 1 2. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, out there in Facebook land, YouTube land, Instagram land, Spotify land, Apple Music land, Twitch. Welcome, welcome. Y'all come on in. Come on in for another installment of the latest, hottest internet sensation by the name of the No Shortcut Show with Midas and Fame. I'm Midas and that's Fame. Yeah, we're here for another installment, ladies and gentlemen. And as the intro music said, you know, tell a friend to tell a friend. So feel free, feel free to, hit you one, get you two. Hit the likes, hit the hearts, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to share this broadcast to your own individual feeds, or feel free to drop a couple of names in the comments. If you have a couple of friends who you would like to potentially join us and check out our platform, place their names in the comments. I promise you we won't mind at all. We are currently at 658 members in our No Shortcuts community, and we thank you all for all that you guys do to help us build this platform and make it the success that it is. And we're glad to be here. We're coming off of a holiday weekend. I'm sure you were quite busy this holiday weekend, my friend.
Oh yeah, it was busy, man. We had a wedding on Saturday, but it wasn't too far away from home. It was just in Monroe, so it was just a quick 30 40-minute drive for me. So I like that. Finally got
Yeah.
off the road a little
Close
bit,
to home. Yeah.
close to
I was
home,
the opposite.
and it ended early, so
Yeah.
I was really nice with it.
Yeah, you gotta love that. You gotta love that, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. And how did you celebrate your holiday yesterday? Hopefully, it was everyone as well as yourself had a great
Yeah,
Memorial Day holiday
just
yesterday.
just took it easy, just getting off and chilled out with the family. I did a little bit of cooking out outside, let the kids play in the pool, and
Yeah.
that was it, man. We just relaxed because we're getting ready to go out of town next
Hmm.
weekend too. So this is just
Hmm.
kind of like the get stuff situated and let them run
Yes.
wild. Let them
Yes.
do their
Yes.
thing all day. Nothing
And that's
special. What about you?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say too. That's part of that balance we speak of here at
Yeah.
No Shortcuts. The balance between family and
Hmm.
work, and having a little play and a little downtime, so you can
Yeah.
keep those relationships nurtured. But myself,
True.
man, it goes back to last Thursday. The chairman of the board and the executives. Hey, Robin, what's happening? Come
Robin,
on
what's
in,
up?
Robin Barbie and the Barbs. We were in Raleigh, North
Hey, mom.
Carolina. Hey, mom is here keeping the perfect attendance going. Gold Star Award recipients, you
Yeah.
know. So we were at North Hills in Raleigh on Thursday. Came back Thursday. Great crowd out there in Raleigh at North Hills as
Hmm.
always. Came back Thursday night. Went back out on Friday to Raleigh to be at a midpoint for Saturday show out in the Outer Banks in Manio, North Carolina. And the
Yeah.
chairman of the board and the executives had the pleasure and the honor to open for KC and the Sunshine Band at Roanoke Island Festival Park in Manio, man, and it was beautiful. Just a quick
Hmm.
rundown. We're right there on the water, beautiful scenery. There's a cabana backstage where both bands that got a chance to eat meals after we both got a chance to sound check. They were offering boat rides. There was a couple of
Nice.
masseuses. Is it masseuses or masseuse? I don't know if you put the S on the plural. Yeah,
Masusai.
yeah, yeah, masseuse.
I don't know.
But really pampered the band. Hi, Alfreda. Come
Alfreda,
on
hey.
in. Yeah, so man, I definitely got a chance to because your shoulders and back, you're doing all this loading and standing and all that. Took advantage of that.
Yeah.
The shout out to the staff there in Manio, man. All the security, everyone who took such good care of us. It wasn't no getting backstage at Roanoke Island Festival Park. You had to have credentials,
Hmm.
and shout out to her name, I believe was Amy, the lead hospitality person, staff, making sure we had everything we need, even down to a cup of ice I needed at one point after the show. She went and tracked me down some ice because we didn't have any more ice. So
Yeah.
great weekend, man. And it was one for the books to be able to share the stage and do a show alongside Casey and the Sunshine Band, which
Hmm.
has songs in most of our sound, pieces of the soundtrack to most of our
Yeah.
lives in one way or another. So to be on stage, watch them, and go out in the audience and watch, things
Yeah.
like that. Great weekend. Traveled on back home on Sunday, and then I went to see my parents. Isaiah, my son, and I went to see my parents yesterday to celebrate Memorial Day. And shout out to
Hmm.
my mom and dad and my aunt Flo for putting together a nice spread for us, man. And we had plenty
Yeah.
of food. Mom gonna send us back with some food, and
That's
we
right.
appreciate it because
I
that's what we're gonna
still
eat
didn't
today.
get that plate. You passed right through on your way back from Sherrall. Hey, we
Yes,
got
yeah,
some more
yeah,
people watching in the
yeah.
community. I want to shout out to.
Okay,
We
shout
got
them out.
Melissa
Let's go.
McCain, Melissa McLean. What's up,
Okay,
Melissa?
shout out to Melissa from back home, my way to Sherrall, South
Yep.
Carolina, Florence, South Carolina area. Shout
What
out to
up?
her. Thank you for joining us. Okay.
We got our guy James Masters. His EP was released on Friday on
Yeah,
Apple Music. I streamed it 4 times, James. I streamed it
yeah.
4 times. Let's get the
And
farm going.
more music coming on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. So y'all
Absolutely.
make sure y'all keep up with Mr. James F. Masters, former guest of our platform, member of our community, one of the standout members of our community.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact, y'all make sure you go check his music out, share that with friends because
for sure.
independent artists, we need those streams so we can get those checks on the back end. So support that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and James says, James, when you're talking about Casey and the Sunshine Band, James said, that's the way,
I
so he
like
know
it.
what's up.
Yeah.
And shout
Yeah.
out to Rhonda Badikian. She's
Rhonda's
watching from
here.
Atlanta. She's in Atlanta today.
Okay. Yeah. Shout
Rhonda's a
out to Rhonda.
globetrotter.
Yeah, and
Well
James and
said.
Rhonda were check-in guests from our community on last week's
Yeah.
episode. Yeah, Robin's going to see KC and the Sunshine Band
Okay.
in Kannapolis in August. And just a little,
That's what's up.
just to be a fly on the wall, KC had himself a pizza delivered to his dressing room to be ready right after the show. I was
Nice.
like, hey, I'll
Nice.
probably have my pizza delivered to the room, but
Yeah.
hey,
He's gonna
kudos.
be
A
in the
lot of
dressing room.
dancing, singing, and playing the piano, and they had
Yeah.
like a 20-piece crew, man, between band, background singers, dancers,
Hmm.
stage crew. They had about a
Yeah.
20-piece crew, and wonderful time, one for the books.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
don't want to make this whole thing about that.
No, absolutely. But just before we move on, man, on the mention of holidays and shout outs, I do have to
Yeah.
shout out my daughters, Jasmine and Jessica. Today they turned 21.
Okay. So it is there. I saw your
21.
post, but I didn't realize it's
Yeah.
their birthday today.
Yeah,
Happy
today's their
birthday to
birthday.
them.
20,
Yeah, we gotta
21st birthday,
hit the
man.
applause, famous.
Get it for
You look
myself.
super young. You to have
Yeah.
21-year-olds.
Oh yeah. Man, 21-year-olds, man. And,
Yeah, man.
and I got one that graduated kindergarten this morning.
Yeah, you got it all,
We're
all,
going up
all.
and down the board. We're
Yeah, you
going
got it
up and
all
down the
covered.
board. Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate that. Thanks, James. Thank you, Rhonda, for sure. It's been a
Yeah,
long 21 years, man.
yeah, man. You're
Anyway,
holding up great. You're holding
I
up great.
appreciate it. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
yeah.
Well,
The
I had
music, the
him.
music keeps us young.
Keeps us young. I had him when I was 12, so you know how
Shout out to Thomas Neal. I remember
Yeah.
his episode. We were
Yeah,
trying to
that's
figure
right.
out how he had siblings at such an age that he was. Shout
Yeah.
out to Mr. Thomas Neal. Is that DJ 300? Is that correct? Harmony Lux.
Harmony Lux. Yeah, Harmony
Yeah,
Lux.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
up,
Big
Thomas Neal?
shouts. Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
it, man. So tell them about our guest today. We have a very, very special guest. I'm going to let you do
Yeah.
the honors.
Yeah, so we're going to do something a little different today, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest, I had the pleasure to meet some years ago with my outfit, Mellow Groove. We actually did some campaign parties for him. He's been a councilman here in the York County area, I want to say since 2011. And so there's an election coming up this year. One in our area is going to be I think June 10th, if I'm not, maybe June 10th or 11th, but we're going to clarify that. I don't have my notes right in front of me. But in regards to the solicitor and the sheriff, and he wanted to share some information with us in that regards, because there are some information sessions that are coming up this week to prepare you, give you some information in regards to the candidates. So we wanted to invite him on. We touched base on Friday. I was getting ready to head out of town, and he's like, "Hey man, if you still want me to come on sometime, I'll
Yes,
be
we do.
available this Tuesday." So we wanted to take a little bit of an educational approach. We understand, ladies and gentlemen, that politics can be a sensitive subject for some, as well as religion. But we want to take an approach just to give you guys some information, not only for our area, but information that you can apply in whatever area that you live. So you know the importance of voting locally and how that can be a
Yeah.
catalyst for impact on a national level. So he's going to tell us all about his journey, which led up to getting into politics, and tell us all about his duties as a councilman and whatnot. And we're so excited to hear from him and share this information. I'm anticipating learning some things as well. But ladies and gentlemen, without further
Yep.
ado, please put some applause in the chats. If you can, make some noise. If you're in your cubicles at home, make a little applause, and we're going to put some noise on the screen. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome to the screen Councilman William Roddey. Yeah.
Up.
Those applause almost felt real.
Hey, ours is real. You got to see, it's like a laugh track. You got to mix it with the real laugh
Yeah.
and a little bit of the laugh track too, and it works together.
Makes it sound better.
Now, I appreciate you guys having me on and sharing you guys' platform with me so I can put some information out about voting in local elections, primary elections, just voting, period. It's
Yeah.
critically and vitally important that people know and understand the importance of having a say, having a voice in any election. I don't care if we were voting for dog catcher. I'm going to the polls. I'm voting.
Hmm.
Yeah,
If I'm voting for the best dog catcher we can get.
That's
And,
right.
and,
That's
and, you
right.
know, and we have a real important election coming up here in York County, and I'm sure other areas across the state are having these primary elections also. But man, we are in the process of electing a new sheriff, and our
Hmm.
solicitor is back up for reelection. And it's a primary, which basically now is a defunct general election because we didn't have um, any candidates filed to run on the Democratic side. So we only have Republican candidates running for an election. And me personally, I identify and I support Democratic candidates. But when we don't have a Democratic candidate in the race, I'm
Hmm.
looking and reviewing the Republican candidates because one of these candidates are going to be our next sheriff, our next
Right.
solicitor. And like I said, I want the best candidate to
For
be
the
in the
job.
office. I don't care which party it's going to be affiliated with because let's face it, a sheriff is not only going to he's not just going to arrest Republican
Hmm.
supporting citizens. He's not going to arrest just Democratic supporting citizens. Our
Right.
sheriff is not only going to you know, they're not prosecuting by parties now. They're prosecuting by the crimes and offenses that you make. So we want the best one that's going to protect our community and respect the values that we bring to the table and we think should be in a good sheriff and solicitor. So, man, we just educate people on the process.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great, man. That's a great overview. And a little later we're gonna get into like the informational sessions and everything. But we just want to start everybody as well as ourselves, and that's what we normally do when we have a guest. Or just give us a little bit about where you're from and like your upbringing, and we're gonna come up to how you got into being a councilman and as well as present day things that are
Oh,
going on.
definitely, definitely. So, man, I was born and raised here in Rock Hill.
Yeah.
Been here all my life. Played high school sports here. Went to Winthrop. Kept it local. Can't forget about York Tech. I did
Okay.
get my associate's degree at York Tech. Transferred to Winthrop. Been working here. I've been on my current job. It'll be 27 years in December. So I'm not
Wow.
as young. I'm not as young as I look. I'm seasoned. I'm
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what
seasoned,
I'm
but I'm not
talking
as
about.
young. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, you guys talked about how music keep you young. I think well, the political scene makes me look a little older.
Yeah, I can
but
imagine.
but yeah, the
I,
gray hair came. The gray hair came, and I hope it stays. I hope it don't leave me because the
yeah,
next step is gone.
yeah. Well, you
So,
so they say it's wisdom. It's wisdom.
so man,
Yeah,
just being that local kid. I know the lay of the land. I've been here all my life, you know, and people know me. And it's good to be in a community that people know you, they respect you,
yeah.
you care about them, they care about you. It's hard
Mhm.
for outsiders to really come here and be able to do the things that I do because let's face
That's
it, in
true.
today's world, a trust factor is worth $1 million nowadays. You know, if
Yeah,
people don't trust you, you can't get a nickel from them. You can't get a
that's
vote
true.
from them. You can't even get directions from people nowadays if they don't trust you. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I think it's important to be that homegrown,
I
trusted
agree.
face, bit in the community. You can't run when you live in Rock Hill and you serve in Rock Hill. It's only so big. People are
That's
going to
right.
see you. They're going to come up to you and ask you personal questions
Hmm.
about whether it's your family, about politics, or about anything.
Hmm.
So, and I like that. It's engaging, and sometimes
Yes,
we get some crazy questions.
you know
Sometimes
it.
we get some crazy requests, but hey, it's
I
it's
can
par
only
for the
imagine.
course. It's par for
Yeah,
the course. But
I can only imagine. And what I will say too is just me living here in Rock Hill and York County. You know, you are a man of the people. You know, I might could go somewhere and run into you, maybe at a ball game or a concert, or you know how we have the what is it, the food truck Fridays and
Food Truck
different
Friday.
things. Yeah, yeah. So I will say,
Yeah.
yeah, and may run into you this Friday at the poetry festival. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. Okay.
Mellow Groove is playing at the poetry festival. Yeah, but tell us about some of your interests as a kid. You have any siblings?
Man, I have three brothers and one sister.
Okay.
One of my brothers passed away back in I think it's 2017. Um,
Condolences.
yeah, he was battling with the whole diabetes thing, and of course it runs in my family, and it runs in a lot of African American families and white families. You know,
Hmm.
that's one disease that doesn't discriminate either.
Right.
Um, you know, so we got to make sure we're doing everything on every front
Yeah.
physically, mentally, health wise, taking care of
Yeah.
your health. We all have these challenges, and now getting older. I just hit 50
Hmm.
this year. Some of those issues I was having in my late 30s, early 40s, now into the 50s, they're getting more serious and have to be taken care of and monitored a lot more closely
Yes.
because that's one of those silent killers. You can feel good today and be taken out tomorrow. So, to all my
Hmm.
people who are battling with whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, kidney, whatever,
Hmm.
definitely get those physicals. Take care of yourself
Yes.
because we want to be around for those kindergarten graduation and
Yeah.
those college graduations, high schools, all those, man. So
Yeah.
Yes,
we're
sir.
we're we're riding together in this thing called life.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And real quick shout out to my brother. I saw him
Yeah.
just log on. Smooth sales. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have links that you want to drop in the comments for your websites or your Facebook pages, feel free
Yeah.
to do so.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do have a
So
few people watching in the group as well. I want to acknowledge Juan joined in. He says, "Welcome, Mr. Roddy," and
hey.
Rhonda Badikin says, "Welcome, sir." I'm gonna give you some time to think about this one, William, because I was gonna ask you when you mentioned that you get some weird requests as a
Ah.
councilman, as a public servant. I'm gonna give you time to think about it. I want to hear one of your weirdest ones, but I'll give you a few minutes on that one. But first off, we were still talking about, like coming up in Rock Hill early on. I know you mentioned you play sports. What sports were you playing at, as a youth?
Oh man, I played as a youth. I played them all: football, baseball, basketball. Of course, getting on into middle school, start being introduced to track.
Okay.
Hmm.
Baseball was probably my better sport that
Hmm.
I enjoyed, but football is king around here. So if you didn't play
Oh
football
yeah, it's
in
king
this
around here.
community, you really wasn't playing sports. So
Right.
I gravitated playing. I wasn't that big,
Hmm.
so I played receiver and I did pretty good. I got some letters being recruited in high school, but then I tore my knee up, so I
Ah.
couldn't go on to further my college athletic career. But
Hmm.
education was somewhat important to me at the time, so I didn't really know what all I was going to do. So I went to York Tech to kind of find
Ah.
myself as a student, and I
Hmm.
got my associate's degree from York Tech. Then I
Hmm.
transferred to Winthrop and got my 4-year degree in
Hmm.
economics. And
Wow.
back in the '90s, a brother going to school majoring in economics, people were like, "What's that? What are you going to do with that?" I didn't even know. But
Yeah.
but fast
Right.
forward, but fast forward, man, when I got involved with this whole political thing,
Hmm.
it was like a perfect match. I understood the economy. I understood
Yeah.
uh, policies, budgets. So
Budgets.
it
Yeah.
was like, I got something. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, and then the
Right.
man upstairs said, "Hey, this is why I
Applied it
gave
later.
you it. This is why
Yeah.
I sent you where I sent you to do what you're going to do, so you can be
Hmm.
prepared for this." And I think it was a match made in heaven. The only other thing I could think of I could have done was been a political science major, but I was
Hmm.
more into the other side of it. So it's been a good run for me, and I like to think I'm playing with house money, if you want to use that term in the whole
Okay.
political, because it wasn't something that I set out to do. It wasn't
Hmm.
something on my radar. I was the sports fanatic.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I walk around with more sports gear on than I do
Hmm.
with button downs and neckties. So I'm still
Yeah.
that huge sports fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was scrolling your pictures while we was looking for one for the
Yeah. It was it
for
was
the
hard to
for the
find
thumb
something
for the
appropriate.
thumbnail. Yeah, for the
Yeah.
thumbnail. So the one I picked, famous, ended up going with a different one. But you
Yeah.
had, being a councilman, you still show the element of being down to earth, which
Yeah.
I think is great to the people. So you have your, like we would dress type of things, and then you also have, some pictures where you got your blazing, your suit on, and things like that. So I think that's great, man. Balance is key.
Well, a lot of the general public tries to put people in elected positions on a certain plateau or a certain
Pedestal,
platform.
huh?
That's not me. I'm the everyday. You may catch me at the gas station pumping gas in my flip flops and t-shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I have to dress up
Look a
every time
special.
I go out.
Yeah.
Just like you say, you may see me at Food Truck Friday. You may see me
Mm-hmm.
sitting at the bar having a drink on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's just who I am. I am who I am. I'm not just an elected official. I'm a, I'm
Mm-hmm.
a, I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. And I play those roles, I feel those roles because
Mm-hmm.
the position, the title doesn't make me who I am. I think I bring more to that position than that
Mm-hmm.
position brings to me. The expectation of how I should act, how I should dress, that's for other people to want to put on me. But I don't jump through those hoops.
Yeah.
If I can get by without wearing a necktie, I'm not
Yeah.
putting on a necktie. I'm putting
Yeah.
on I'm putting on a ball cap and a jersey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I respect the position enough to know when I need to be in uniform, so to speak, or in that
Yeah.
necktie, or
Right.
or being that professional bump, not the
Yeah.
little bump running around the neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
man, I enjoyed it, and there are some good and bad that goes with every position, but I'll tell anybody. Um, there's way more good of serving my community and doing what I do than the bad. The bad thing is my phone never stops ringing and the job
Yeah.
is never done. So that's
Yeah.
that's one of the drawbacks to it. But over the years, I've learned to compartmentalize when I take part in doing council business and when I just take part and just enjoy myself and trying to push that to the side and and,
Yeah.
and be who I am.
Yeah, and no matter how you dress or things like that, you're never gonna please everybody. So you might as well dress accordingly to what makes you happy. And just to let people know at home, when you said Bump, Councilman Roddey's, I guess nickname is Bump. So when you say Lil Bump, I just, as we talk about solicitors and sheriffs, I just want to be clear. That's his nick. How did you get that nickname anyway? I
Man,
never
it's
asked
one of
you
those
that.
it's one of those childhood nicknames that just stuck with me. And I can't ever recall telling anybody to call me that. It was just one of those things that you just get and it sticks. Even at work, you know, uh, people got different nicknames. You may walk in on a job and somebody's gonna give you a nickname. Say, I don't care if you're in the South, you got a nickname.
Of
You ain't
some
just
sort.
going by your government name.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's
Like in our community, we just gave Juan a new nickname last week. We called him
Babyface.
Babyface. He cut his beard off. We started calling him Babyface. It lasted at least since last week, so we're gonna see what happens. And he's claiming it, so we're gonna see what happens. Yeah. And real
That's
quick,
true.
shout out to Anita Morris for joining us.
Mhm.
Since Anita's been coming here, member of our community, she started her own ice cream catering services. Simply Sweet, if I'm not mistaken. But Anita, feel free to drop your links as well as everyone else who's watching with us right now on Facebook. Drop your links, your websites. We appreciate you guys. So, what led you to have a passion or desire to get into politics? And what year would this happen to be when you made your mind up to take this, to take venture over into those waters?
Well, man, the whole political thing took off when a gentleman approached me. He was having some issues out of the elected official in this seat, and he's like, I think you'll make a good county councilman. I think you'll make a good elected official. And at the time, I'm doing the PA announcing over at the high school over at South Point for the football games.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm the big sports fan, so I was doing the
Yeah.
PA public announcing over there, and I was like, when somebody tells you something, whether they curse you out or thank you or give you a blessing, when you get home, you kind of kick back and you say, you know what? Jerry said some nice things to me. I appreciate Jerry. Or Johnny said something just cussed me out and made me ruin. So you reflect on what people say. And I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe somebody sees something in me that I don't even see in myself.
Mhm.
Political wasn't even on my radar.
Wow.
And so, it set something on my heart. So I was like, where do I go? Who do I talk to even get involved in something local, in the local politics? And so I met with the Democratic Party chair. He kind of threw some things out at me, kind of said, you from Rock Hill, you played sports here. You obviously have a name. My great uncle Osby Roddey was on the city council at the time.
Okay.
So I went and talked to him, and you know how the older popular, and God bless and rest his soul, he passed away a little over a year ago. Well, matter of fact, this past December, I think it was. So, the older generation has their way and their steps of saying, hey, this is what you need to do to get in position. Well, me being the young hothead, I was like, I ain't got to do all that. I think, enough people already know me.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
this was back in 2008, early 2008.
Oh wow.
And if you
Okay.
remember, President Obama was on the ticket in 2008.
That's right.
So I was actually going through a primary to get on the general election ballot for that particular year. Well,
Mhm.
unfortunately for me, I lost my primary race by, I think it was 62 votes, 63 votes.
Wow.
Okay.
You know, I'm a sports fan. I relate everything to sports. So I know a close race versus a
Uh-huh.
blowout. And that was a
Mhm.
close race. And I break it down to say, had 32, 33 some odd people that voted for my opponent, had they voted
Mm.
for me, I
Yeah.
win
You
that
would have.
race by 1 or 2 points. And
Mhm.
so that being said, I was hyped up. I didn't get blowed out. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
know,
There
it was
you
a
go.
close
Still a
race.
Like, let's
win.
go.
Yes, it was a
Yeah.
close race. So I said, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. So
Right.
I got involved in a little more political stuff, started doing voter registration, getting known on a different level outside of the sports arena. And
Mhm.
so in 2 years later, we were on 2 year terms at the time. So 2 years
Okay.
later, I put my name back in the hat and I eventually won and beat the same guy by 69 votes. That was still a
Okay.
close race,
Yeah.
but I was on the prevailing end on that end. And so he
Mhm.
came back again because it was such a close race, and I eventually beat him again, and the rest is history. So
Yeah.
I took seat in 2011, and I've been doing it ever since. And now I'm the longest serving,
Yeah.
only African American serving on the York County Council. And man, when I tell you, it is still tough being the longest serving, the only
Mhm.
African American who has that institutional knowledge over people who's only coming into this arena for the very first time or who've
Yeah.
been there for 2, 3 years. It's still
Mhm.
a challenge for them to look up to me
Mhm.
um, in that role because of how I look. It's
Mhm.
not because I don't know what I'm doing. It's because the color of my skin. Still, I get challenged. I still sometimes get railroad, run over, steamroll, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the people who know, I know what I'm talking about. It's much
Yeah.
respect when they see me out in the community because you just don't walk onto a political scene and know it all. I
No,
didn't
not
know it
at
all
all.
when I walked on the scene, but I've
Mhm.
been there now for um, 13 years,
Yeah.
loan it to anybody. And so
Yeah.
I've seen things, I've heard things, and I know what we should be focusing on. And let's face it, we are in a Republican county. The
Mhm.
Republicans control 6 out of the 7 seats. But I'm right in there with them as far
Mhm.
as knowing what to do, how to do it. So I'm still a valuable asset, and I'm still able to
Absolutely.
get things done by working with my colleagues.
Mhm.
I've been told I'm more fiscally conservative when it comes to the money. I look at it like
Mhm.
this. I know what we're supposed to be doing with the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not just jumping in saying let's spend, spend, spend because it has to make sense.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that I ultimately bring to the table is my financial knowledge of being working with the budget or just knowing what we should be doing.
Mhm.
Um, it's still hard, and just thinking about it right now to sit here at this table,
Mhm.
it's a feat that you just don't you can't win that. You have to earn that. You have to learn that, and I think I've earned the respect of my council members of
That's
being
great.
here so long. But it's still to this day, I still get pushed back on other things that I want to do. But I'm the I'm not the financial guru, but they
Mhm.
look to me when it comes to financial leadership on this council.
Yeah. Now, which what year was that we Mellow Groove? Me and my guys played at your campaign. I think it was a campaign party that is at the
Mhm.
City Club
We
downtown
went
Rock Hill.
downtown.
I
Yeah,
don't. What year
yeah.
was that?
That was 2012, and that was the
2012.
year. That was the year Obama was back up
Uh-huh.
on the ticket
Second
that
term.
year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that was kicking off I think his second term.
Right.
And actually
Okay.
since we were on 2 year terms that year. But yeah, we were downtown, man, and people still remember that event because it was
Yeah, it was
such
nice.
an exclusive. Now imagine this, just to give you an idea of how things have changed. We were only charging $25 to get into an election event.
Things have changed.
$25.
Yeah.
$25. And this was at the City Club where we
Yeah,
had
at the
catered
city club,
food,
cater
drink.
food,
Yeah,
entertainment.
yeah, all for
Yeah,
$25. All for
yeah,
25. And believe it or not, we still had people, oh, $25. Y'all trying to make no. I mean, this was
yeah.
a presidential election year. Now,
Absolutely.
if you come to a campaign
Mm.
event like that, it's
It's
yeah,
gonna be a little more, at least 50, maybe
it's gonna be what it's
75,
gonna be.
100.
It's gonna be
You
what
know?
it's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. And
Sure.
real quick, that's where I met Miss Alice Harden Meeks, who is now a member of our community here. Now I was putting it all together in my mind yesterday. I met Alice at your campaign party that particular year. And then since then she's been an advocate for Mellow Groove and different things, and she's a member of our community and things. And she, a matter of fact, just spoke to her a couple of weeks ago. She's getting us for Christmasville again this year, as well as an event that's coming up in June. So yeah, but we made that connection at your campaign party that year.
Yeah. Her and her husband are very active here in the Rock Hill
Yeah,
community, man.
Mr.
So and
Roscoe.
it's
Yeah,
good to see. It's good to see some people that's our age
Yeah.
getting involved in things because if you look back 20 years ago, it wasn't us. But
hmm
now we're in that position where it's on us to do and say and be a part and be the one that people look up to and keep certain things going and introducing new things to the community. So, man, my hat goes off to anybody who gets out and puts their
hmm
name in the hat to at least support or
yeah,
start some things in this community. We need those
Mhm.
individuals.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
That's
if you
super
guys have any
important.
questions from Councilman William Roddey, feel free to type them in the comments.
Yeah.
And my next question was just going to be, so I know you spoke about budgeting and different things like that. Are there other things that are included with the position of councilman, like some other specific type of duties?
So, man, just to tell you, one of the main things that we do a lot of is rezoning property for
Mhm.
people to from whether it's from farmland to be able to build a house or going to 5 acre tracts to building bringing in subdivisions. A lot of the subdivisions that are being built, that land has to be rezoned to put that many houses on the land, and so typically, we're seeing neighborhoods come in now, probably anywhere from between 80 to 150 homes.
Mm.
That land, because zoning requires so much land to put a house, and so people will come in and say, "Hey, I want to create a subdivision. The rule is one house per acre, but I want to use this 80 acres to put uh, 140 houses, 130 houses. So we rezone it, get it down to allow smaller lot sizes to be able to
Okay.
build more houses. But obviously, that comes with certain stipulations when you're doing a neighborhood. The roads have to be up to a certain standard,
Mhm.
and so we kind of oversee all that. But the biggest thing that I enjoy doing is when we bring in jobs, we bring in companies that offer jobs, and we've all heard of incentives or tax breaks, as the general public like to call them, but we call them incentives, where a company comes in and say, "Hey, we're going to bring 800 jobs. We want a tax break on our equipment and taxes that we pay." And we'll give
Okay.
a trade-off. So if you're bringing 800 jobs to our community, that's putting our citizens to work, and we want good paying jobs in our community. So we'll give them what we call a fee in lieu of tax, where we give them
Mhm.
a flat tax to pay versus the actual retail tax that they will have to pay on their property taxes. That's kind of
Gotcha.
putting it in layman terms. So we'll reduce their taxes if they're going to bring the jobs, and we have a
Mm.
little say into how much those jobs pay because we know
Mhm.
what it costs to live in the area.
That's right.
So that's one of the things that I enjoy that we do. The biggest thing that kind of blew up on us publicly, and not all of them are successful. Some people
Right.
come in and promise jobs that they're not able to hit those numbers. Then we have
Right.
to go back and recalculate, hey, what you owe us now since you didn't hit your mark because we
Mhm.
gave you the tax breaks. So you
Mhm.
all remember the big thing with the Carolina Panthers that was coming to
I was
Rock Hill.
just about to ask
Yes,
about
and
that.
Yeah.
I never knew what happened, and I mind my business usually. So I
Yeah.
guess we can find out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So man, this was like this was like going to be my signature
Yeah.
piece here You know,
Yeah.
we get the Panthers on the hook. You know, I wasn't the one who initiated, but you know, I had a vote, I had a say in shaping some of the things that were going to go on. And so
Uh-huh.
this was like the big chest stick out. Hey, we got the Panthers
Absolutely.
coming to Rock Hill.
Mhm.
We're going and so we get the deal on the table, and the city of Rock Hill it was a partner between the city, county, and school district. And so
Okay.
the city was supposed to go out and borrow this money um, uh, for for the deal to turn over a check for $225 million. Now,
Wow.
the way it works is there was going to be a tax break to the Panthers to come to Rock Hill,
Hmm.
and collectively, the money that they were going to pay for their fee in lieu, we were going to put a huge portion of that back on the table to go pay the bonds that the city was supposed to borrow the money for to
Okay.
stroke the check.
Uh-huh.
Lo and behold, there was some things going on financially. The city wasn't able to secure those monies, and
Okay.
so the Panthers had already started building on the facility. It was
Hmm.
already up out of the ground, and then up in the 11th hour, uh, of course, the city says, "Hey, we want to renegotiate the deal." And how do you renegotiate when we got a signed contract
Right.
of
Man.
what the deal's supposed to be? And
Right.
we can't forget about what was happening. Uh, we COVID hit,
Mm.
prices went up,
Yeah.
price of steel went up, price of cement
Still
went
up.
up. Yeah, and so man, that deal came tumbling down simply because not anything that York County did, but
Mm.
the money when you make a deal and you say, hey, we're going to give you $225 million, and remind you that was to go for roads, water lines, sewer line, the
All of
infrastructure.
that.
Because yeah, because you got to remember, if all the value of any project is above ground,
Okay.
what's in the ground has no value to the developer because
Mm.
he's not going to own the water lines, he's not going to own the sewer lines, he's not going to own the streets. So his
Hmm.
value is from the ground up. So you
Hmm.
give an incentive, but he was going to be paying into the fee in lieu of tax deal. We were going to put that money back on the table to go pay those bonds off. But you got to have good credit. You got to
Hmm.
have good credit to be able to go out and borrow $225 million.
Yes, sir.
And and some things didn't line up financially
Uh-huh.
for our friends to be able to go borrow that money. So that's
Mm.
when you go back to the table and say, hey, we need to renegotiate this to see how we can make this work. Well, David Tepper has a lot of money, so he pulled a plug on.
Okay.
He already had invested about $70 million into the project, so he just
Mm.
pulled the plug. Ultimately, we had lawsuits and we sued to
I
get
could imagine.
our money back, and you know, so that was kind of the deal that didn't go as well or according to
Hmm.
plan. And they're not always going to be the big deals like that, but we still
Right.
bring in good companies that bring jobs to this community. Because
Yeah.
imagine if we don't recruit jobs, you know, 77 is getting crowded every day. People trying to go to
I
Charlotte
tell
to
you.
get a job.
Yeah.
So we want to bring
Yep.
jobs to this community that people can
Hmm.
afford to feed their families, buy a house, and still live a little, and go to some of these Mellow Groove outings
Hey,
and
come on.
campaign
And with the
parties,
chairman of the
and,
board. Yeah, come on.
and pay the bills, man. Because let's face it, things are not getting any cheaper,
Hmm.
and it's seemingly getting harder and harder to find some jobs for people who don't have certain qualifications. So we still need
Yeah.
these warehouse jobs. We still need these
Yes.
labor jobs, as well as some technical, high-paying, six-figure jobs. I mean, we got people in this community that's doing it, but you know
Hmm.
they have the skill set that demands that kind of pay.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
Wow. But
great, man.
thank
I
you for
got a
sharing
couple.
that. Thank you for sharing that too,
Yeah.
because I had no idea.
Yeah, I
We got a
definitely I had
question?
that same question about the Panthers deal once you started mentioning infrastructure. My wife used to work for the city of Rock Hill and then for York County in zoning and all that kind of stuff. So I got a little bit of knowledge with it, but I wanted to hear from you as well. I got
Yeah.
a couple
Yeah.
questions. One is from Juan. How does
Okay.
Rock Hill see infrastructure development in the next decade, especially with the massive growth of new communities, like you were talking about with all the people coming in?
Mm.
Yeah. So actually, now I'm with York County, but I'm going to put on my mayor's hat since I ran
Yeah.
for mayor
Yes,
twice.
sir. Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
So the thing with infrastructure is you have to be able to service all the growth. We're seeing a tremendous amount of growth in York County, and definitely Rock Hill. And I'd say Rock Hill is the capital of York County. Everything flows through Rock Hill. If
Yeah.
Rock Hill does well financially, York
Mhm.
County does well financially. Other areas grow because of Rock Hill
Mhm.
has had so much success. Let's face it, we have a lot of amenities in this community, and maybe you don't want to come all the way in Rock Hill, so you stop in Fort Mill. If you want
Mhm.
something a little less expensive, you maybe go over to York, in which York is now growing pretty good. We having 3, 4, $500,000 neighborhoods coming up in York.
Mhm.
But for infrastructure, our roads, our water, our sewer, Rock Hill has been doing a pretty good job of keeping up with uh, expanding its water capacity because we have so many people coming here. The city is growing outward. And, we get frustrated at the county because the city is now taking over some of our county territory, which basically is taking tax money out of the
Mm.
county
How did it?
coffers. But the
Okay.
city coffers are growing because of annexation. The city's been real aggressive with annexing some areas, which they want to grow their tax base. They have to keep up
Mhm.
with providing those infrastructure needs. But man, roads, we use pennies for progress to keep our roads in better shape. They're not in the best shape. They're in better shape than some of our other neighboring cities and counties. So road wise, man, we're doing pretty good, keeping up. The city just expanded, obviously, its water and sewer capacity.
Okay.
Well, they haven't done the sewer yet, but they just upgraded its water capacity
Water.
to
Mhm.
serve more people. And when you serve more people, you got to be able to treat that water. So now we got to get over into the sewer to be able to treat
Mhm.
that and get it back into the water system. So, man,
Mhm.
infrastructure wise, we do have some older, aging neighborhoods and areas that the city really needs to get back into, update those. That's a huge cost, and that's one that you have to use. Obviously, your capital funds. You have to
Uh-huh.
borrow. You have to borrow money. And there again, we got to be in position to where if we need to borrow $100 million, our balance sheet needs to support being able to go
Yeah.
out and borrow money. But
Absolutely.
how aggressive is our city leaders are going to be when going back into some of our older black neighborhoods and updating those infrastructure needs when it comes to water sewer? That's where I think the challenge is going to be, because if we have crumbling and failing infrastructure in our older areas, not just black areas. We've got some older white areas too. But if we
Oh
don't
yeah.
have good infrastructure to serve our water sewer needs in these areas, these areas could become uninhabitable when it comes to
Mhm.
serving public service. So we want to
Yeah.
make sure we get this city in financial position to be able to
Mhm.
do these and take care of some of these needs down the road. That'll be a
Okay.
concern of mine as the mayor.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. You saw Juan's other question?
Yeah. The other question was, and I know you spoke about early on that there were two Republican candidates running for sheriff, but have you made a decision yet on which way you're going with that?
But it's
So, man,
mostly
great.
people.
Hey, great segue for the event coming up on Thursday.
Yeah,
So,
okay. I
man,
was
There
trying
you
to
so,
get
go.
there.
yeah, so we're hosting out of the 5 candidates that's decided to put their name in the hat. Only 3 of them have decided to participate with us. When I say us, it's us Democratic voting, leaning, supporting community. We're bringing Republican candidates to an African American church downtown Rock Hill to be on display for them to make a pitch to our community, our
Okay.
leaders, for our support. Now,
Mhm.
2 candidates who decided not to come, well, that speaks volumes in itself. If you don't
Yeah.
decide to come and say, "Hey, I'm candidate X. This is
Yeah.
the sheriff
Introduce
I
yourself.
intend to be. This is how I intend to run the office. Take care of employees, take care of the community." Then you ultimately don't want our vote.
Mhm.
So by default, we're down from 5 candidates now to 3 candidates in our eyes as to who we're going to put our community support. It's not just Bump Roddey support, but I'm going to be on the evaluating team that ultimately going to come out and say, we think candidate X is the best candidate for the entire York County, not just
Mhm.
for the Republican Party,
Republican
not for a
or
Democratic
Democrat.
Party, but for
Mhm.
everybody. Now, if they want to just say, one of the emails went out from the Republican Party chair that says the Democrats
I
are
saw that
trying
email.
I'll send it to you. The
Yeah, you
Democrats are
said it.
trying
Mhm.
to pick our sheriff like, wait a minute, so he's only going to be the sheriff for the Republican Party.
Mm.
And I take a lot of I take a lot of offense to that, because
Yeah.
I've never seen just a Republican sheriff.
Right.
You're supposed to be duly, the certificate on my wall says duly elected, which means by everybody. And they're saying it's a Republican primary, but it's a general election when you don't have but one party involved. So the state law says that we don't register as party. So you can vote in any general election, any primary election, because my voter registration card says I'm registered to vote. It doesn't say I'm a Democrat. It doesn't say I'm a Republican. And so you're allowed to vote in any primary. And since there's not a Democratic primary, everybody's eligible to vote in the Republican primary. And how dare them come out and say that we shouldn't be voting for their sheriff? Ultimately, he's going to work with me. Yeah, that's arrogance. That's arrogance right there. Now, I will say they will have a Republican. The sheriff is going to have an R by his name. But I guarantee you, at this event on Thursday, I challenge any one of those candidates to sit up there and say, I'm just going to be a party
Republican.
sheriff.
Yeah.
Republican sheriff. We've seen law enforcement across this country that haven't been too favorable to Black and brown people. But I guarantee you, we want to be able to put our support behind a candidate that says he is going to uphold the law regardless of whether you're Black, brown, or indifferent. We want to have a solicitor who says he's going to make sure that he applies the law in that courtroom equally, and not just unjustly on one side, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Our community has more run-ins and more instances with law enforcement. If you look at our prisons in this state, look at the prisons across this country, who has the most run-ins with law enforcement. And that's evident by the numbers that we're seeing in our state institutions and incarcerations. It's no secret that Black and brown is arrested, prosecuted more than some of our counterparts. And we want to make sure that our sheriff and solicitor understands that we want the law applied equally, because some things are afforded to offenders in the form of programs and probation. Some things are offered to us more strongly, prison and punishment. We want some of those same opportunities afforded to everybody. If probation and programs are available for this offender, but for the same crime on the other side, you giving out prison terms and punishment, we want it applied equally. And that number is obviously not being applied equally across this country, and certainly not across the state, when the highest incarceration rate is among African Americans and Black and brown people. So we have to bring these issues to the forefront, because it's the solicitor who pushes for longer jail time. It's the solicitor who has to agree to any plea deal before it goes before a judge. So I understand the magnitude of how important it is to have a solicitor, to have a sheriff who's going to ultimately be the ones pushing for how much jail time or how light a sentence an individual is given in any courtroom here in York County.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's super important. And Juan just put a link. He put the link in the comments to the event. But tell us when the event is, and tell us about when and where.
The event is this Thursday from 5 to 7:30 p.m. And we're going to be at Freedom Temple Ministries, aka Freedom Temple Center, downtown Rock Hill. And we're going to have 3 out of the 5 sheriff candidates, and we have the 2 solicitor candidates that's going to be participating in our community meet and greet. And we're putting these candidates on display. And if law enforcement wasn't such a big deal in this community, then I think we can get by without having it. But knowing what I know and the phone calls I've gotten from family and just community people when their son or daughter has a run-in with the law, it's vitally important that we have people in office who know and respect this community and take in consideration the same thing that they look at when they offering some of these other alternatives to to prison and jail
Mhm.
to some of our counterparts. You know, we want the same respect under the law as others have been afforded and rewarded for
Mhm.
some of the lighter sentences. You know, I've heard the stories, the horror stories of how my own county, York County, gives out heavier sentences than some of our neighboring counties throughout the state.
Counties.
You know,
Yeah.
I want to make sure we are appropriately applying whether it's sentencing or the law to everybody. And the only way you do that is you have a solicitor who recognizes that, and you have a
Mhm.
sheriff and other members of law enforcement who recognizes the disparity in how things are being applied. You know, we all I want the same thing for my family as the family next door.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's
And
just equality in terms of, like you said, the four P's, whether it be prison and punishment versus programs and probation. You know, you just want
Love that.
equality for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
so
And
that.
I was gonna. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm ready to articulate why it's so important on Thursday night that we get out and vote. I want us to vote collectively as a community because um, our vote means more when we're together in sync. Because if I vote for one candidate and Jerry votes for another, well, neither one of our candidates got that vote. We just
Right.
canceled each other's vote
Cancel
out.
each other
And
out.
let's
Yeah.
remember, we got 5 people in this race. So we got to go in and strategically put our support behind the candidate that best suits or say that they're going to recognize what's important to us. And we're going to hold them accountable because if we help get someone in office, we expect them to listen to us or we be able to bend their ear
Mhm.
on certain issues, certain things that whether they're doing a good job or doing a bad job, we want to have that inroad to have that conversation. I can pick
Yeah.
up the phone any day of the week and call any elected official.
Mhm.
I want to get that respect. But
Yeah.
when somebody else need that grace or that mercy out of that office, how difficult
Right.
is it to get that ear to have that conversation? I
Mhm.
know other members of this community have those inroads. One, because they have a Republican R beside their name, and two, because they're not the black and brown skin that we are in. So I want to have that same inroad, that same opportunity for members of our community to have that access.
Mhm.
Healthcare is about access. Law enforcement and being able to get to some of these programs and probation is about having access. You know,
Access.
you can have the best lawyer, but if that solicitor is closed minded and not wanting to work with this offender,
Mhm.
you know, you're going to get one of those P's, and it's probably
Yeah.
going to be the punishment in prison.
Yeah.
Punishment.
You're not going to get the probation program, so
That's
you're going to
right.
get one of the P's.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess to answer Juan's question, you won't know until you go to the
Yeah,
informational
Yeah,
sessions.
yeah,
get
man.
out
So
there Thursday.
come out
Mhm.
on Thursday from 5 to 7:30. We're going to be asking public questions. We have, honestly, we have an interview team that's going to interview these candidates before they actually come out in the public because we're going to vet these candidates. And I said, if we're going to have a Republican sheriff or a Republican solicitor, we want the best
The
Republican
best one.
sheriff and the best Republican solicitor that we think will best serve all of York County. Now, we're not going in picking somebody who says that they're going to come out and just give every black person who offended the law uh, probation or a program.
Right,
Just
You
make
right.
it
know, that's not
appropriate.
going to happen. But we want to
Right.
make sure that we're supporting somebody who says we're going to uphold the law and apply it equally across the board. That's all
Yeah.
we can ask for, and that's all we
Yeah.
can hope for.
Yeah.
And
And
now
before we
that'll be an upgrade. That'll be an upgrade from where we're at now.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say before we let you answer Famous's question from earlier about the craziest requests and all of that, or one of them, one that you
Yeah.
can share with us. I was just gonna ask you, do you mind just explaining to us and everyone who's listening the importance of just placing your vote locally and how that could be a catalyst or be impactful on a national scale?
Well, you know, on the local level, this is where the rubber meets the road. We're able
Mhm.
to do things that affect your daily life
Right.
in 30 days. When we pass something on the York County Council or the city of Rock Hill passes something, in 30 days, it's in effect. But we
Mhm.
know how long it takes to work in Columbia. We know how long it takes to change things in Washington. So you tell me which one you have a better chance of influencing and feeling the effect of, besides
Mm,
the federal government, cutting stimulus checks, sending $800 out or $1,200. We make laws that we make the rules. Right now, we're in a budget season. We
mm,
are deciding how much property taxes we're going to collect.
uh, uh,
We're in a season where we're going to elect a sheriff and a solicitor.
mm,
We make rules and regulations when it comes to um, zoning laws, or which business can locate in a certain zoning
Mhm.
district. So we have the ability to do things that impact you right away.
mm,
I've been asked, when am I going to run for something in Columbia? I said, well, I'll just be a fish in the pond in Columbia, because the Republicans control, they have a super majority. So right now,
Mhm.
they're a few votes away from having a super majority, which means even if the Democrats show up and voted, Democrats wouldn't even have to show up for them to have enough to have a meeting and approve
mm.
something. That's what a supermajority would do in Columbia, and
Okay.
we're that close to facing a Republican supermajority. But it just takes so long to get things done on the state level, and let's face it, those things that they're doing are not really felt or impacted as quickly as what we can do at the York County Council in 30 days.
Mm,
Those property tax bills come out in October, and right
mm.
now we're making that decision with our budget about our millage right now.
Mhm.
Man, so
Okay.
that affects your car taxes, your
Yeah,
boat
bring those
taxes, your
down,
RV taxes. You know,
Please.
um, so if we have the ability to impact your pocketbook,
yes.
um, that translates to what you can put on the table for Sunday dinner, or for Memorial Day cookout. Some
Yeah.
people uh, had to band together to get that ultimate cookout, and
Yeah, yeah,
some just
yeah.
was all up and down the Eastern Seaboard
That's
uh,
right.
Yeah.
at concerts and parties. So I mean,
Yeah.
we do a lot that impact a lot of people, man. And just recently we had a conversation about people wanting to cut programs at our public library. I'm like, where does that stack up on the things to do?
Right.
And so we've been fighting people on taking books off the shelf, which that's not
Ah,
what we do. But we
right.
have those efforts going on right here in our community. And man, I'll
Mhm.
say education has been and always will be our way up. I don't like
Yes.
to say our way out, because one of the things that I'm kind of guilty of is, where I grew up, I moved out of my community. But education is a way up. We don't always
Yes.
have to come up and move out. Some of us can
Mhm.
come up and go right back into the same neighborhood and make just as much of an impact as we can
Yeah.
moving out. But we want every opportunity for people to be able to go into our public libraries that offer so many different programs. And I was just made aware of a lot of things that the public libraries offer now that they weren't
Mhm.
offered 10 years ago.
Mm.
So we got to make sure that our kids who don't have whether it's Wi-Fi or access to computers at home, that they're able to get in and out of our facilities and
Mhm.
utilize that technology, so that they can have that way up and be able to make that decision on what they're going to do, and not be stuck or boxed into limited opportunities when it comes to education.
Gotcha. Hey, famous. The street said I can't go back home. You know when I heard that?
When I was back
When I was
home.
back home.
That's right. That's right. You don't
All
gotta
right,
get
we
out.
got to wrap here shortly, but
Yeah, I got a couple more
did you want to?
questions. Couple
Yeah,
more
yeah, go
questions.
ahead.
One more. I think you already answered it, but let's put it out there official if you feel like it. Is there going to be another bump for mayor campaign?
Mm, you know what? If my wife was sitting right here, she would probably cuss us both out. Because
Shit, wait,
she,
who was
yeah,
us both?
Me for asking?
Man,
you for asking.
I don't want
Yeah.
no strays. I don't want no strays.
Hey, man, it takes so much when you put your name in a hat to run for an
Yeah.
office, especially for the mayor of Rock Hill. We're the fifth largest city in the state of South Carolina. It's a big
Mm,
deal to be the mayor of
yeah.
Rock Hill.
Yeah.
But you put so much on the line, so much of your personal life, so much of your everything is on the table for people to punch holes in
I
to
tell you.
deem you unfit,
Mm, yeah.
unqualified, or whatever they want to call it.
Yep.
Um, you know, it's been placed on my heart. That's one of the things that I said I wanted to do and give back to this community personally. but at the same time, there's a huge sacrifice. There's a huge financial commitment. One that people don't realize: campaigns create bills. I still
Yeah.
have a bill from a
Mm.
campaign, and
Yeah.
so
Wow.
those got to be paid off. And man, that the first time I ran for mayor, um, I was on a shoestring budget,
Mm.
and I did so well in that campaign, and people didn't give me the opportunity. They didn't think I had the opportunity to win. It was three people in that race, and I
Mm.
was the actual top vote getter the first time around. And it sent shockwaves through the city and through the state
Mm.
that, hey, a black man could be the mayor of Rock Hill. We about to
Mm.
get off our ass and do something. And so
Mm.
much money poured into my opponent's campaign. I was outspent 3-1
Mm.
easily. He spent about
Mm.
$135,000, and I barely cracked $40,000.
Mm.
So money plays so much a huge part into campaigns, that especially on the local level.
Yeah.
If I was able to match financially what was thrown behind my opponent, I'll run for mayor. I'll commit to doing it
Gotcha.
right now. If it was dollar for dollar
Yeah.
and I had the equal backing financially, and let's
Mm.
face it, a lot of people don't like to give or don't know the importance of giving to a local candidate.
Right.
Mm.
They're $10 to a presidential candidate or a congressional candidate means nothing. But if I'm able to get 10, 20, $30 from all my constituents, that moves the needle. So trying to get more people to involve, not only voting on the local level, but supporting financially our candidates on the local level, so that we can compete with some of the
Mm.
money that's being thrown behind your traditional um, establishment type candidates. Man, we can't win these type races if we don't have the financial backing.
Yeah.
But from a heart's desire standpoint, I will run for mayor again. From
Mm.
a family and wife and financial standpoint, I
Mm.
think I'm gonna have to sit the next one out, because we got to get
Yeah.
some things back in order. But
Yeah.
man, I
Yeah.
love my community, and I'll say it. I'm still the real mayor of Rock Hill, because I get
Yeah.
more
That's right.
phone calls and more
Yeah. He does.
questions,
He does.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
That's
and,
right.
and so I wear the I live the title that I just don't have.
Mm.
I'll say, if I'm going to self-proclaim myself anything, I'll say I'm the real mayor of Rock Hill. Not any disrespect, but I know the
Right.
phone calls. I know
Yeah.
the involvement I have. I know what I give to people in this
Mm.
community, like a mayor should give.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us could pick up the phone and bend the ear and get some of the results that people get when they come to me,
Yeah.
asking me for whether it's advice,
Mm.
assistance, or just or information. So I do it without the title,
Mm.
but maybe maybe next year I'll be able to convince my wife to let me get one more round. Maybe
Yeah.
the third
Yeah.
time's a charm, but I'm gonna have to get my bank account up in
There you
order to
go.
compete.
Yeah,
Set the
because it
tone
does
out
take
there.
funds. I just wanted to add on my uncle ran for sheriff and he won. He lost his first go round, but he won. Mom, if you're still on, what was that year? But of Chesterfield County, and my mother was the campaign manager, and I remember being
Hmm.
involved, and we going even going down to the local back in Sherrall, South Carolina, at the PD Baptist Church, and we calling people, and my mom and them setting up rides to get people to the polls, and it's a lot involved. And I had a chance just to see a little bit up close, when you go into different schools and just trying to increase your reach out in the community. But it does take funds. You want to have people with signs in the yard and all of that type of thing,
Yeah.
and events to raise awareness as far as getting your name out and things like that. So I totally understand. But like you said, maybe take this one off, and then you never know what the future holds. But like you said, the phone calls you get, and the
Right.
influence that you have, and and that's great, for now. But
Hmm.
you never know what the future holds. Just like you didn't know you would get into being a councilman. I mean, I'm
I
sure
did.
that's not the end all be all. You never
No.
know.
And that, once I got that political taste and I start seeing and hearing things, um, that's where the whole mayor thing kind of birthed, because I was in this county council seat. I
Yeah.
see more. I know a lot more. And when you sitting here saying, wait a minute, we can be doing better over here. And
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of fueled the fire to give me that desire, or that want to be. Like, I wasn't running around the neighborhood when I was 12 years old saying I want to be the mayor of Rock Hill.
Right.
I was running around throwing footballs and kicking
Yeah.
footballs saying I wanted to be a sports, whatever. So
Mhm.
things do evolve, things do change over time. And I'll never be the one to say, Lord, take this taste out of my mouth for wanting to be the mayor.
Yeah.
I'll be trying to get the taste of other things off me before I do that one. But
Yeah. There you go.
it's a humbling experience to be able to be in position to help people, whether it's giving them information, directing them. Man, we just had that storm hit Rock Hill.
Oh,
And
the
when I tell you,
hailstorm.
yeah, my phone rung like I was the mayor of Rock Hill. So I know I feel that role for this community when it comes to doing things above and beyond
Yeah.
what the title says you should be doing. I do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
I want to
Now,
run through a couple of these comments before we let you go.
and you got to answer that
Yeah.
about the crazy phone call.
Yeah, I got that one.
Okay. We got a couple comments.
Yeah, Miss Francis says a sheriff must be a sheriff for all people when we were talking about that Republican or non-Republican sheriff situation. Juan says he looks forward to meeting you on Thursday and all the candidates.
Nice.
Rhonda says thank you so very much. Every town needs great government. God bless you. And James Masters, thank you, sir. Great show as always. Thank you, James.
Yeah.
Now, we cannot let you off the hook. We know that the phone rings all the time.
Yes.
Give us one of the craziest calls you remember.
Uh-oh. Now, did you hit the mute button?
I think you muted yourself.
Somebody was
there
trying
you
to
go.
call in.
Oh,
Somebody was trying to call in.
Oh, speaking of that, see,
Hey,
look how that lined up. Coincidentally.
So I get this call from one of my constituents that says, "Hey, my neighbor has a tree in his backyard, and his leaves are blowing over in my yard, and he doesn't want to pay me to have them cleaned up." I said, "You mean to tell me you and your neighbor are fighting because leaves off his trees are blowing into your yard, and either you don't want to rake them up or you're going to have to pay somebody, and you expect to say, yeah, that's not my tree." I say, what do you say to, how do you answer that?
I tell her to take it up with the wind.
So we literally neighbors not getting together. I mean, come on now.
Yeah. That's petty.
Now, this was a brother with another brother neighbor.
Oh man.
So
yeah.
You
gotta, that is pretty crazy.
Judge Judy would have threw them right out of there.
You know what? And if they would have been in Judge Judy's court, we'd have been sitting there watching that whole episode. Like, I want to see how this is going to end. I want to see how this is going to end.
Oh, yeah. That's something right there. But, you would like to think neighbors couldn't, first of all, that really shouldn't even be an issue. But if it's that serious, hey, man, do like a home improvement. Just look over the fence, have a little conversation about it. You know what I mean? Howdy, neighbor. Let's figure it out. The leaves, the wind going to blow leaves wherever they,
wherever
that's
they
why
go.
You have the term, I'm like a leaf in the wind. Ain't no telling where I'm going to end up at. Yeah, man. Yeah. Did that cover all of our questions and everything from the audience?
That was
Did
great.
you want to leave some contact information, Councilman Roddey? If anybody wanted to follow you, maybe your social media or if there's a website associated with it?
I'm on every social media platform and some I need to get off of. Obviously, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can put in Bump Roddey, Councilman Bump Roddey. You put Roddey in any chat or anywhere, my name, my face is probably going to come up. Cell phone number, as you see, it's going to ring 803-984-8033. Man, I get calls from everywhere, from everybody. So just somebody else having my number ain't going to do any more harm to the existing calls. But I'm accessible. I'll answer call. And hopefully, if you reach out to me, I can do something to help you resolve any issue or whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah, and I meant to tell you, our band leader of the chairman of the board, Ken Knox, wanted me to tell you hello. He called me earlier this morning, and he saw you were going to be on. He got some appointments and stuff to do, but he was recalling a time he met you out and about at a function, and he said he still wanting you to come out and check the chairman sometime.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, and we always like to close like and guaranteed. Obviously, we came from a little bit of a different perspective today than we normally do in our community. But being that you found your way to being a councilman and seems to be a passion of yours, obviously, our community here is based on finding our passions, discovering our passions. But if you were to leave someone, maybe a little word of encouragement, maybe they're a little undecided, not knowing which direction they want to go in with their purpose in life. What would you like to say to them?
Man, I would just say, um, find out what it is that you like to do. Give it a shot. It can lead to being your ultimate passion. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing,
Hmm.
but I put my foot in the water. Didn't know where it would take me. Um, there's probably 1,000 other things I would want to be doing, but
Hmm.
your passion will always keep you right in line with what you should be doing or what you were kind of called to do.
Nice.
You just never know where it's going to come from. Don't be afraid to try something new and productive. Don't do anything all outlandish and crazy, but
Mhm.
Yeah,
man,
get them other
it's
P's.
yeah, and if you're doing your part, something good is going to come of it. Something good is going to come of it. Just I put a post up the other day. Do your part. Do your
Yeah,
part.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, well,
I
with
love it.
that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we like to thank Councilman William Bump Roddey for joining us today and shedding some light on, just the importance of voting, not only locally, but nationally, and giving us some information
Mhm.
in regards to our community here locally, but that information can also be applied to wherever you live. So just do your due diligence, ladies and gentlemen, and be active in your community. And that could be
Absolutely.
sometimes all you need to spark a little bit of change. Famous, you got any closing words before we get
No,
out of
that
here?
was it. That was it for me too, man. Just want to thank the
Yeah.
councilman for joining with us. I got you give your phone number out like Juan does, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
call you too.
Juan, did
So I want
Juan
to talk
drop
to you
his in
about
there?
some. Yeah, I'm not in York County, but I'm in Lancaster County now. But I do have some questions as far as getting into being more active in the county and following a similar path as well. So I'm gonna link up with you.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and I just want to say, once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the York County or Rock Hill, even Charlotte areas, there is a poetry festival going on. It's going on Thursday through Sunday, but my outfit, Mellow Groove, will be playing Friday night at the Getty Center, 8 p.m. If you want to hear some live music and see some local uh, poets do their thing, if you like poetry, spoken word, it's going to be food trucks there and everything like that. Join us Friday night, May 31st,
That's
at the
what's up.
Getty Center, 210 Main Street, here in Rock Hill. And then the chairman of the board, we're playing a class reunion party on Saturday, and then I'll be at Mount Dewell Baptist Church on Sunday morning. That's all I got for this week. And
That's it.
so, guys,
Oh.
make sure you follow Mr. Councilman William Roddey. Stay
Mhm.
in touch with him, and
That's right.
follow each other. And we thank you guys for joining us today. And we guess we're gonna bid you guys
Not next
adieu.
week.
Everybody
No
have a
show.
safe week. Bump, stay on after we sign off, and we'll say goodbye to you separately.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great rest of the day. Thank y'all
Yeah,
for hanging out with us
real
today.
quick,
Let's do
real
it
quick.
next week. Go ahead.
Real quick, no show next week. No show next
Oh,
week.
no show next
Out of
week.
town on vacation. Out of town on
Okay, so you
vacation. No show next week.
you
That's
heard
it.
it right here from my producer,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. No show next week, and the summer may present little
There'll be a few of
situations
those.
like that. Yeah, but we're gonna let you guys know, and go join our No Shortcuts community on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on
Mhm.
Spotify. Follow us on Apple Music, and I
That's
think
it.
that'll do. Peace and love, y'all.